All right, so boom. ChatGPT brain rot is real and getting worse. Vanessa Wingar. I think I said her last name right. Let's see.
I've developed an addiction to AI. My AI is actually on my best friends list.
If you're anything like me, you use ChatGPT for everything. ChatGPT is my counselor, my therapist, my best friend. It knows all my secrets.
Story time on how I almost got kicked out of the University of Michigan my freshman year for using ChatGPT.
Now, I know what my chat uses AI for. I already know what my chat uses AI for. Like, we know what they're doing with their AI. Especially after Elon released the new Annie model. We know what they're doing with AI already, dude. We know exactly what they're doing with AI, bro. Like, let's just leave it at that. Let's keep going.
Okay, so ChatGPT is down, but we do not panic.
You're literally one AI agent away from making 10K a month.
The most gut-wrenching feeling in the world is when the ChatGPT chat that you've been using for about 6 months starts referencing things that don't exist. It must be what it feels like to notice for the first time that a loved one has dementia or something.
Everyone's talking about how AI is ruining YouTube, but I believe AI is ruining something much worse.
How did you get addicted to AI? You know what? I could see how some people would get addicted to AI and stuff, because if you're like actually a lonely person and you spend all your time talking to a bot that's talking back to you in many different ways, some people will be like, "Oh my god, I think I love you," which we've already seen videos like that previously on the channel, right? We've already seen those kind of videos. So I think that it's really easy. Some of the content creators are just doing some AI stuff to post. Yeah, I think that's cool. But turning AI into like your therapist and X, Y, and Z, I think that might be a little crazy.
Our own ability to think. ChatGPT has went down several times this year, and every time it goes down, it truly exposes people who are over-reliant on the AI. People are genuinely losing their minds because they now can't get any of their work done, they can't cheat on their assignments, and apparently they can't even bake a cake.
ChatGPT is down, and I don't know about anyone else, but I have come to the conclusion that I can't use my own brain anymore. Because, for example, right now I want to bake a cake, and normally I ask ChatGPT, how do you make a carrot cake? I can't simply Google something anymore. Like, I need a step-by-step breakdown from my best friend, who is also a robot. And now, it's like he's passed away. So, that's me for the day. I'll go back to bed.
If we as a society are already this dependent on ChatGPT and can't be bothered to Google something the moment...
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, fam, what are the Americans doing? You think that it's just... That was a British bitch that was just talking. Sorry, excuse my language. That was a British woman that was just talking in that video. So what are you saying? What are the Americans doing? You simply typed that just to rage bait. You simply typed that just to rage bait. There was no other reason for you typing that. Like, we literally heard a woman from the UK talking, and you said, fam, what are Americans doing? Making money, bitch. That's what Americans are doing. I don't know. I don't really know what they're doing. I just want to say that because it sounded like the right thing to say. It just sounded good.
The moment the servers go down, we as a society are baked.
Fam.
And not in the fun way. Cookbooks, Google, I think even the flour bag has a recipe on it, or just call your grandmother. I'm sure she has a recipe and she would love to hear from you. And of course, every time ChatGPT goes...
I'm not gonna lie either, right? If I decided that I wanted to bake a cake, I'm gonna just get on YouTube, because I can literally just watch the video and see what they're doing step by step. So I don't know if I would immediately go to ChatGPT to learn how to bake. I would just go to YouTube. That to me, going to YouTube would be better.
Down, everybody goes to Reddit to let everybody else know what they already know is that the servers are down. The caption says, when ChatGPT tells you Australians don't need a visa to enter Chile, but it's wrong and too late now. People are now relying on ChatGPT for travel information.
But the whole thing with that, right, is why would you believe that? Why would you believe that? Like, I'm just gonna, like, sometimes I use ChatGPT to search shit too, but I also like to research it myself outside of that. Because I mean, stuff on the internet can be wrong. So I don't know why you would choose that as your like go-to.
Which, as we know, gets updated. It's not always the same. ChatGPT, of course, can not only have outdated information, it can also hallucinate. This is fascinating to me because this was such a simple Google search, but it's like people don't want to Google anything now. They don't want to search out information themselves. They just want answers given to them automatically regardless if it's
Fair,
true or
fair.
not. I was
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you do just want the answer handed to you. Like that is like a thing. Sometimes you don't want to go out of your way and have to like figure it out on your own. Like I get that.
recently thinking about all the know-it-alls in the world, right? I think we all know someone who kind of just says things and you're like, where did you get that from? And I don't know where they get it from. They just pull it out of thin air.
Yes, chat. Where did you get that from? How do you know all this information, chat? How are you guys so smart?
But they say it confidently because they themselves believe it, and now they're trying to pass it on as truth.
Last night, I went out with friends, and one of my friends brought a friend. We were talking about space, and I said, fun fact, the size of Neptune's storms are so large they could eat Earth. And then little Tagalong speaks up, and he goes, that's not true, bro. That's not true. And I'm like, okay. So I take out my phone, I go to NASA's official website, and I show him with proof that it is true. And he goes, no. He takes out his phone, opens ChatGPT, and says, yo, Chat, is this real? You're using an AI model to fact check NASA.
Why use brain when you have ChatGPT?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That is kind of dumb, right? I won't lie to you. That's a little bit stupid, right? Like, why are you using? That's funny as fuck.
It's truly amazing to me that people are doubting official sources of truth, such as NASA, and opting for ChatGPT as their source of truth. People are now using AI to cheat during their interviews.
You're leading an army of ants in a battle against grasshoppers. What's your first strategic move?
I think my first strategic move would be to assess the terrain and identify any natural advantages that we can leverage, such as narrow paths or elevated areas.
So you can see the AI has been listening to the conversation and it just outputs the answer and she's kind of reading it off. I understand.
Now, I'm not gonna say using your AI in that way is a bad way to use it personally. Right? If you can find a way to use it to give you a leg up in whatever you're doing, then we might as well. But I wouldn't bet my whole life on something like that. You especially now. You need to still make sure you're tapped in.
Okay, I understand. The interviewing process, job hunting, I get it. It sucks. I think imposter syndrome is something we have all struggled with, at least at some point in our careers. And if you can't answer the questions in an interview, I don't know. I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. I know employers themselves are using AI, so now potential employees are fighting back using AI themselves. But I think this will just lead employers to coming up with new tactics to see, are you using AI?
I think we've reached a point with AI where we can confidently say this is not a tool that is revolutionizing learning. This is a nightmare that is destroying learning. Not once have I seen a single student use AI as a resource or in a way that is even remotely ethical. 100% of times when I see students use it, it is so they do not have to think. I'm talking about putting an essay prompt into ChatGPT, not even reading the essay prompt, copying and pasting the results into a doc and submitting it without even reading it over.
More and more teachers are coming.
But I'm going to be fair. I will say this. School is one of those places where it's like either you're going to actually be able to learn some things or you just become like a drone that follows what everyone else does. Now, I'm not saying saying this in segue of saying AI is like better for learning, but I think with the appropriate mindset, it can become a tool to help teach you things. Because there was a time where I was trying to do a certain editing technique and I was watching a YouTube video. I could not understand what bro was showing me. Like, I'm just going to be real with y'all. So I copied the transcript, I put it in ChatGPT, and I said, explain this to me like I'm a beginner at using the program and do it in like a 8th grade reading level. Cause I was like, I have to be goofy as fuck if I can't figure out this technique. And then it broke it down. And then you feel me? I started reading it, and I was reading it and doing it step by step, and it actually did help. But I think if you're just mindless and you're slapping prompts and pushing shit out, you're probably not going to learn that much. But
coming out and claiming how AI is terrible for students. And I'm always surprised by the amount of backlash that these teachers get. There's a huge difference in giving AI to an adult to be used as a tool and giving AI to a student to be used as a crutch. An adult already has critical thinking skills,
Like base
whereas a
knowledge.
child hasn't developed their critical thinking yet. These students need to be writing things for themselves. Writing, reading, spelling, all of those things lead to critical thinking, abstract thinking, which is the basis of just learning how to learn. How can they fact check an LLM if they can't even on their own create their own stories? People also love to compare AI to when calculators were introduced. Have you ever asked a calculator how to boil an egg? Have you ever asked a calculator to write a resume for you? They're not the same thing. AI can do way more things than a calculator, including math, kind of. As the teacher mentioned, students just copy prompts and paste them into ChatGPT. And this is happening so often in universities that professors are now using a Trojan horse to detect AI. The professors will put something like, mention Dua Lipa. If you don't know, she's an artist. But the interesting thing is, students aren't even reading what ChatGPT is giving them. They're not even reading their work, they're just submitting the whole thing.
See, and that is why I think even though AI makes things a lot easier and smoother to do, if you don't have a foundation in whatever it is you're trying to do, AI is not going to really help you because you're just using it on a very surface level, a base level. You're just trying to use it to get you along faster. So again, I get it.
And then somewhere in the essay, it mentions Dua Lipa, which if you wrote that yourself, or if you even halfway wrote it going back and forth with ChatGPT, you would wonder, why is it talking about Dua Lipa? They're not even reading the prompt. The caption says, ChatGPT is down. Is it too far to ask Snapchat AI for exam answers? And then it uses Taylor Swift's song where it says something like, I've got nothing in my brain. Yeah, because you're using AI for everything. You haven't learned anything, and thus you can't recall anything, and you're not able to do your exam.
But I'll say this, right? If I was like, man, what's the capital of France, right? And let's say none of us know the capital of France, right? None of us know the capital of France. So I say, what is the capital of France? Right? Right? It gives us the answer right here on the homepage, right? Now, if I type the same thing in my chat GPT, it's gonna do the same thing. Right. So I feel like, can you use it? Yes. Should you trust everything without proofreading? Maybe not if it's a task that's extremely nuanced. If it's as simple as this, I think it's fine. Because like you don't really need to know the capital of a place that you're not going to ever visit if you're not going to go there, where right? Like this is not need to know information for everybody, right? But like but if it's stuff that you need to know like on a baseline, then yeah, I think you need to like actually learn those skills and develop
And you're
them.
panicking now when ChatGPT is down. It's interesting that she wants to use a social media's AI to help her cheat on her exam when it's social media that destroyed our critical thinking skills, and not just the desire to find the truth, but the ability to do so. People are now relying on ChatGPT for things like hiking. And it's leading users who I guess are not familiar with hiking to go on these mountains that still have snow, and they're wearing sneakers. They're not even prepared for the reality of what the hike is going to be like, and it's causing all these search and rescue teams to have to go out and rescue these people. People are relying so heavily on ChatGPT that they don't even understand that without cell reception, they can get no help from ChatGPT or a rescue team.
This and it kind of sucks because like people are gonna like Goofy said earlier in chat, what's going on in America, even though it was a UK shorty. People are not intelligent, common sense wise, in a lot of places. And some of this stuff would be resolved with common sense. Like I've never been hiking before. Had ChatGPT build a plan for a hike. Now, let me go and research the trail on Google Maps or a hiking app or look it up on YouTube to see like what it looks like and what's out there. Like you still need common sense and like I guess as you said earlier, critical thinking to actually use these tools or these things in a way that is actually beneficial. Right? Like if you're just in there like plan a hike for me on Mount Everest. I don't even know what it'll look like, but plan it.
You're not using ChatGPT for everything in your life. You're crazy.
This is by far the most powerful ChatGPT prompt I've ever seen. You are now operating in God mode.
I'm giving you guys right now the exact ChatGPT prompt that will help you manifest your dream life.
And this is how you can have a mental reprogramming of your brain. Here's the prompt.
Older people use ChatGPT as a Google replacement. Maybe people in their 20s and 30s use it as like a life advisor something.
There's an interesting paradox happening with AI where people feel they are genuinely leveling up. They're becoming better, faster, smarter. They're evolving with AI. However, the research says otherwise.
I can't
Earlier
graduate.
this year, the Wharton
Yeah.
School of the University of Pennsylvania released research.
Okay, but you know what's crazy, right? I'm interrupting her whole study, but whatever. I'm here to yap, right? If I was like, hey, let's write a script for this style of YouTube video, right? There's going to be one guy who is a great writer who doesn't use ChatGPT, right? And there could be a guy who's an average writer who's going to use ChatGPT. Which script do you think is going to be done faster? And do you think they'll be on the same level if they were using kind of the same style? Yeah, think about that. Because you can also, you feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Research on how we learn with LLMs.
Fam,
The
help us
research
graduate.
showed that
No
when we
thanks.
search for
No
information
thanks.
ourselves, we're more invested, and thus, as we're searching out information, we synthesize and hold on to more of that information. Whereas
fair.
with ChatGPT, it just spits out an answer. We read it, we don't really hold on to the information, and we just keep going about our day. We then have the recently released MIT study
It's the
that
Indian
shows that people
teachers.
who use LLMs tend to have less brain activity. In the study, participants were asked
What she just described, though, reminds me of those people who will like ask you what something is instead of Googling it themselves, and then you give them the answer. And then literally a couple days later, they ask you the answer again, the same question again.
to write an essay.
That's what it reminds.
The
That's what that reminded me
researchers
of.
used an EEG to measure the electrical activity of the brain as users were writing their essay. They found that the people who only used their brains exhibited the strongest, most distributed networks, and the LLM users displayed the weakest connectivity. This study also highlighted how people who used the LLM had a really hard time recalling what they'd even read or wrote with the LLM. And I know a lot of people have issues with this MIT research, claiming that it's too small of a sample size. But we also have
You know they were
Microsoft's
gonna
own
make it?
research pointing to basically the same thing, that the more we use
Extremely for smart
LLMs,
peeps.
our brains are having atrophy.
No. I just think that this is a good topic. Chat GPT brain rot is real. I think it is real. I think you could be brain rotted off a lot of stuff. That's why I was like, this is like such a great topic, dude.
And we're losing our critical thinking. This is all interesting to me because the AI hype usually focuses on how we're all going to unlock all of this knowledge that the average person can learn physics. Yet if they're using an LLM to learn physics, then they're actually learning it at a shallower depth than if they would research it on their own. AI is also marketed to us as allowing us to automate the boring things, when in reality, we're just fact-checking what the LLM tells us. We're not even using our creativity, and we're not using our critical thinking skills. That's why we're becoming dumber or in my opinion, we really didn't need these studies to show that if you outsource every single thought you have to ChatGPT, that will deteriorate our own ability to think critically and problem solve.
But the whole thing is, you don't even have to say that, dude, because the truth is, if you start to become too dependent on anything, on a lot of things, you are diminishing your own solo ability. So, like, this is definitely going to be true. And I could see, like, if you could get like the instant answer and you're not fully invested in the topic, it's just going to be brain rot. It's going to just go in and, I'm out of here.
I can show you how to make money with ChatGPT in the next hour. Would you do it?
So I've been training this brand new AI on exactly how to help beginners make money online.
If I had to start from zero and make 10K per month as fast as possible with
She got
AI,
a big ass
here are
mouth.
3 ideas that I know for sure would work.
I want to stop scrolling
Yeah, that was such an intrusive thought. I don't even know like why I said that. Like like what the fuck?
because this AI hack could change your entire 2025 income game.
I'm too cheap to pay for my own Netflix subscription, so let's build our own version of Netflix, and all we're going to need is to go onto ChatGPT. I just sit back, relax, and save that Netflix subscription money. What's your vibe today? Smart feed, mystery?
So many people these days are told they need to start a business or a side hustle, and with AI, anyone can code up their own application. Even though these people are now putting users' passwords in an Excel file because they don't know how to set up a database or do proper authentication, but I digress.
And see, my thing is, if you wanted the cheat codes to the code, I get that. But you really need to have a secure foundation. The foundation is the key to everything,
Thinking
dude.
about starting a side hustle where I collect dog poop by hand from people's yards and drying them out to put in resin to make jewelry and watches out of. Thinking of calling it Turd Times a Charm. What do you think? This idea is brilliantly unhinged, and honestly, it might just work. People
What
may
is
be
with that
spending
emo,
money
dude?
that they don't have to start a side hustle, all because ChatGPT told them it was a brilliant idea. It's like we're so focused on being efficient now that no one cares about honing their skills, about improving their craft. Take the event loop in JavaScript. It's a coding
Yo,
language if you
freak
don't know.
out.
The event loop, you don't necessarily need to know to write JavaScript code, but it's something that I want to know. It fascinates me and it allows me to write optimized code. But do I truly need to know it to be able to write code? No, the AI knows it. It can write optimal code. But it's like nowadays, I'm viewed as the idiot
The
if I don't
fuck?
want to use AI. Like if I don't want to outsource my brain to the AI, I'm the idiot. Over reliance on ChatGPT is the real zombie apocalypse. It's the death of critical thinking. I think this tweet sums up this video quite well. Sometimes in the process of writing a good enough prompt for ChatGPT, I end up solving my own problem without even needing to submit it. AI folks have now discovered thinking.
You just are putting your closets on ChatGPT? What happened to the art of getting dressed? What happened to, I can't find anything to wear. One of my last beautiful personal joys that we have every day is the art of getting dressed.
He's ranting about how...
But the whole thing is, yeah. I think people were already brain rotted before AI, right? Like, it felt like people were already brain rotted before AI. There's nothing that's making me feel otherwise, like at all. There's just nothing that I like think otherwise. I feel like the AI is making it worse, absolutely. But the brain rot train has been going on for a long time.
People are now uploading their entire wardrobe to ChatGPT to ask ChatGPT for recommendations on what they should wear, what they should buy. His argument is that we're all going to look the same now, which I agree. We're all losing our individuality, our personality. We all sound the same, actually. Research does show that everybody's kind of just sounding the same now because they're all regurgitating what ChatGPT has told them. Where is individuality? Where is ownership of our work? Where is creativity? When we question nothing and outsource all of our critical thinking skills to an AI, it creates the perfect condition.
Chat, we're heading into the Cyberpunk 2077 space here soon. Okay. We're heading into the cyberpunk. Oh my god! Whoa! I can't even speak English, dude. Let's just keep watching the video.
For tech billionaires like Peter Thiel to control us, which is already happening. But that's a topic for another video.
Hey, how are you? How am I doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, how are you? Do you want to go out for ice cream? Let me ask Chat. Hey, Chat, should I go out for ice cream?
Hey, well, if you're in the mood for ice cream, why not?
I need a yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Some people are like that, dude. Yeah, that's crazy though. That is what people are moving like. I can't even like say that was false. W video. W.